So is it going to be Leinster hosting another final in Dublin, or is it going to be Glasgow once again going for a final of the URC, and this time defending their title on South African soil? One of those two things is going to be a reality. Which one? Well, that remains to be seen, and that's what I'm talking about on this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to go through both the sides that have been announced, look at how I think the game might go, and part of the way I'll do that is by picking a combined 23-man squad. If you had all 23 Leinstermen, all 23 Warriors, who would you pick, shirt for shirt? And maybe that gives us a bit of a hint about how this game might shake down. When I saw the Leinster side, I was a bit taken aback by the names that weren't there. I mean, obviously, Caelan Doris, already without, Tadhg Furlong and Robbie Henshaw. But add to those three very significant names, Josh van der Flier, Gary Ringrose, Hugo Keenan. I mean, they get Tommy O'Brien back, but net loss, and a net massive loss for Leinster at a time when they're lacking a bit of mojo and a bit of confidence. I mean, Hugo Keenan, for example, was one of those guys, rock solid. Everything's going to be okay when Hugo Keenan's on the field. Losing him, massive. And Ringrose, when Jamie Osborne, a brilliant, very talented player, he's got a long future ahead. But he wasn't great at 13. He doesn't play there very often, and he didn't look great there. No Tadhg Furlong. Thomas Clarkson wobbled a bit last week. Just at a time when you want to be instilled with confidence, that's a bit of a concern. That said, Dan Sheehan starts, and the guy is just unreal with Sneijman on the bench. I mean, it's not too bad. Max Deegan's been great this season. He's on the bench. They're going to be all right, but not perfect, not ideal, which if you're a Leinster fan, that probably makes you a little bit nervous. Although that said, Glasgow would turn around and go, hold on a minute, yeah, you've got some players out, but no Hugh Jones, no Matt Fagerson, no Xander Fagerson, no Jack Dempsey. So they've got some big names out, and the difference is with Glasgow is they're not replacing those big, I like British and Irish Lions, in the case of Xander Fagerson and Hugh Jones. They're not replacing them with more international quality players. They're replacing them with players with potential, or players that are not at that level. And that's the difference between the two squads. Leinster's is much deeper, and they're still able to have genuinely world-class players on the bench. And anyway, one thing I forgot to say with Leinster is Geordie Barrett. Geordie Barrett is starting, and that's all you need to know. Geordie Barrett is starting. That's massive. But I tell you what, I had a little panic when I looked at the Glasgow team sheet, because I thought that Tom Jordan was not there. I looked at the 10 jersey, went Adam Hastings, what? No, Tom Jordan's there, 12. Sione Tuipulotu shunted across to 13. Now, these days, you look at Brex and Menoncello as a great example. Quite often, 12s and 13s, they're interchangeable. They switch around. I expect to see Sione Tuipulotu a lot at 12 when they want some hard yards, and Tom Jordan at 12 a lot, or even stepping in at first receiver when they want the ball to be distributed. So that's not a big concern. It could even add something to the way that Glasgow play. Those two players, Tom Jordan, Sione Tuipulotu, were the two best players on the pitch last week. Maybe the two best players of the whole URC quarter-final weekend. They were incredible. Rory, actually, how could I say that and not talk Rory Darge? He was unreal. And I was so looking forward to his matchup with Josh van der Flier, thinking, like Rory Darge making a point. I wasn't picked for the British and Irish Lions. Josh van der Flier, I'm going to show you. We've been robbed of that matchup, but we've got so many other great matchups besides. And on that front, if I was picking a combined 23-man squad, that's what I went with. I go Porter, Sheehan and Clarkson as the front row. Would have been different with Xander Fagerson. Ronan Kelleher on the bench, again to demonstrate Leinster have got incredible talent off the bench. Slimani as well. So out of the 6 front rowers, I go for 1 Glasgow player on the bench in Sutherland. Second row, 1 apiece, Cummings and Ryan. Now, I know some people would be surprised I haven't picked Joe McCarthy. I absolutely love James Ryan. And I just think Leinster looks so much better when he is starting. He just smashes rucks all day long. And Joe McCarthy does some like incredible things. He has an incredible ball carry. James Ryan just, I don't know, he does the stuff that is never going to make a highlight reel, but makes a team work. So that's why I picked him. And I thought Scott Cummings was immense last week. So I've gone for those two. And in the back row, Ryan Baird, Jack Conan, Rory Darge. No Josh van der Fleer, no Matt Fagerson, no Jack Dempsey. So those are the three we've got. Snyman and Deegan on the bench there. Those are all the forwards. Both teams have gone for a 5-3 split. And in the back line, I go Gibson Park, although I love George Horn. Prendergast, I think Hastings is really good. Barrett, although Tom Jordan was incredible last week. So 4 Leinstermen in the back line, although the other 3, Carl Steyn was brilliant last week. Josh Mackay, same, and Sione Tuipulotu. But so when you look at it, you've got 10 Leinstermen and 5 Glasgow players, and Leinster are at home. And maybe it's when you look like that, the bench split fairly evenly. When you look at that, you think, well, that's why Leinster are heavy favourites with the bookies. But I don't see them as being heavy favourites. They are. If you look at the odds, I think some of the bookies have just looked at 52-0 from a month ago and thought, well, it's going to be Leinster rolling them over easy. I see Leinster winning, but I don't see it being easy by any shot. And if Glasgow just go there with no fear and roll the dice and just say, well, there's no tomorrow. Let's have a crack. That plays into Glasgow's hands. And if Leinster and their fans get a little bit nervous early, that first quarter of the game, it's always important. And it's such a cliche to say the start's really important, but it particularly is in this game because those seeds of doubt, which, I mean, we're not just talking about the last week's performance from Leinster or recent weeks. We're talking about several years of big matches not quite going their way for club and country. And you wonder how much of that little psychological battle, that little edge, the more it happens, I've generally speaking just brushed it off. No. It's just the way, it's just games go like that. And they've lost by a point a couple of times and a couple of points here and a few points in a World Cup quarter final. But the more that it happens, and if it happens again in this game, you'd have to say it's the thing. This game is season defining. Although I guess one question I'd have for Leinster fans is, even if this Leinster team goes and wins the URC even, is the season still regarded as a failure because the bar that is set and the focus on the Champions Cup is set at such a high bar that anything below that is not good enough. It's going to be interesting to see whatever happens, what the future of Leo Cullen is, of this Leinster team. I think they're going to come out swinging, and I think we're going to see a little bit of Leinster mojo back. I do think they're going to win, not by a lot, but by enough. I'll probably say Leinster by 6, around that. Can't wait for the game. It's going to be great.